So we'll do just a couple of chants. This is also a wonderful pranayama exercise. Very simple. One will be Om Namo Narayan, which is very traditional, but with a melody that Swami Ananda wrote. So let's start with that. Feel free to sing along with us and experience the power of singing. We will sing one of Paramhansa Yogananda's chants called I am the bubble, make me the sea. Very simple words. I am the bubble, make me the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, chanters. I have a question for us all. Some of you might be able to guess it. Some will learn very soon. How feels everyone? Awake and ready. How is everyone? Awake and ready. Welcome to our online audience. I hope you are awake and ready too. And welcome to everybody over here. My name is Nayaswami Aditya, and it's my deep joy to welcome you all. You have come from 14 to 15 different cities, different parts of the world. Online, this link yesterday through Kaarthikeyanji's help went to more than 10,000 people. So I welcome you all on behalf of Ananda Sangha Pune and Ananda Sangha India. Now, why was it important to ask that question? How are you? Paramhans Yogananda ji, Swami Kriyananda, his disciple, used to tell us, would sometimes run on the stage in an entirely new city with a new audience, his hair and robes catching up, flying behind him. And he would ask his audience that question again and again till he got an enthusiastic response. We are awake and ready. And then Master, as we call Paramhans Yogananda ji, would say that is what it takes to absorb these teachings and to bring them into your daily application. And it's not just for this morning. I hope you can keep that attitude throughout this day and throughout the coming days. Now, friends, I'll just say a few words about the spiritual fair. Perhaps some of you have attended this in the past, and for many of you, this must be new. I hope it is new for many of you because each year we make this attempt. Today, this event is that one day of the year when we as a Sangha go out, we reach out. We do that every day, but especially on this day, we come together, as Master said, to share with others what you have received. And this is our effort today through a spectrum of classes, speakers, teachers, workshops, stalls, movies, to give that experience of Paramhans Yogananda ji's teachings to you all. Swami Kriyananda ji for many years held events like this, and a few years ago we were inspired in different cities of India to hold this event too. I remember after the first event, we were comparing notes. When you do something for the first time, you want to know how it went. And so many teachers who gave classes and other members said that this person from, we had it in Pune, this was 2016, and people said somebody from Nasik came and asked me if we could come to their city. Somebody from Aurangabad, the neighboring city, came. Somebody from the state of Gujarat and even Karnataka, they were here. We were actually screening the first ever public screening of the movie Awake at that time across India. And so people had come from all those states to watch. And then they said, I wish we could do a program like this in my hometown. And of course, we responded. We went to many cities. And then this became has become an annual event that we put out. However, the pandemic put a pause to this, and I am very happy, I am very grateful to all of you who have served, come together, contributed, responded by attending this program, by making this the first event we are having after the pandemic started 2 years ago. I would like to formally begin this morning by inviting our dignitaries and our acharyas. I would like to start with our very special guest, our chief guest for today, our patron and a wonderful dear mentor, Padma Shri Kaarthikeyanji, to come on stage and to allow us to welcome him and greet him. Kaarthikeyanji, please join us. Kaarthikeyanji is the president of the Foundation for Peace, Harmony and Good Governance, President for Age Care India. Please come, sir. Formerly, Sir has served as the Director of the CBI, the Central Bureau of Investigation, Director General, National Human Rights Commission. Swami Kriyananda ji used to call Kaarthikeyanji his brother in India. And Sir has been our advisor, as he is for many organizations. and a patron of our work. Kaarthikeyanji, I welcome you on behalf of Ananda Sangha, Pune and India. I would like to invite Jyotish and Devi ji, our worldwide leaders who are traveling from the US, to please join us on stage, and Kaarthikeyanji to please introduce them.
We will now invite Kaarthikeyanji to introduce Jyotish and Devi ji.
Namaskar, Namaste, Vanakkam, Namaskaramandi. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I expect thousands around the world watching us, listening to us. And many of them, first time. They must be hearing about Ananda, because the message has gone to several thousands, and out of curiosity, at least they must be listening to us. So, normally, there is no need for a formal introduction to most of our respected spiritual masters, Nayaswami, Jyotish ji and Nayaswami Devi ji. But for those people, for the first time, who are listening to us, this move, so I want to make it a little more formal introduction. I don't want to leave out important points, so I am going to, what is Ananda? I'm telling you for the first time, several thousands are listening to us. It's only last evening, Nayaswami Aditya said, why not we send it? Immediately, we sent out flyers everywhere. It's gone to at least 15,000 people directly, I know very well, minimum. And normally what they do in my program, they in turn send it to so many. If we had done it about 3 days earlier, it would have reached 100,000 people. But so allow me to take a little longer, say what Ananda is, not for your benefit, because you know more than me, but for those wonderful audience who are linking with us for the first time. It's a global movement based on the teachings of Paramahamsa Yogananda, writer of the spiritual classic Autobiography of Yogi. Ananda was founded in California in 1969 by Yogananda's direct disciple Swami Kriyananda. Through its classes, retreats, centers, communities, and various outreach activities, Ananda serves as a spiritual oasis where truth seekers can quench their spiritual thirst with Paramahamsa Yogananda's self-realization teachings and have satsang, spiritual friendship, in the company of like-minded souls. Swami Kriyananda foresaw a big future for Ananda's work in India. Besides spreading the teachings of Kriya Yoga and meditation, among the many projects he envisioned were spiritual communities, a spiritual temple of all religions based on Paramahamsa Yogananda's ideals, how to live schools for the all-round education of children, a yoga university, monasteries for men and women, a hospice for the elderly, and an orphanage for the young. Ananda is a global spiritual movement based on the teachings of Yogananda, as I said earlier, who showed how everyone can realize God in their daily lives as a tangible, loving reality. You can feel harmony and God's active presence in your life through ancient and effective techniques, including meditation, Kriya Yoga, spiritually oriented Hatha Yoga, community, and divine friendship. Kriya Yoga is a highly effective meditation technique that can be integrated into any meditation and prayer practice you may be. Ananda was founded in 1969 by Yogananda's direct disciple Swami Kriyananda, as he mentioned, who attained Samadhi in the year 2013. Swami Kriyananda's spiritual successor is Nayaswami Jyotish ji, who along with his lady wife Nayaswami Devi ji serve as Ananda's spiritual directors. Ananda helps people achieve self-realization, a state of consciousness that comes through shedding all outward self-definitions. Ananda's communities and centers welcome all sincere seekers, regardless of race, religion, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, or disability. They are committed to providing an inclusive, welcoming environment for everyone to pursue their search for God. Meet the spiritual masters of Ananda. You must be knowing Paramahansa Yogananda ji include even Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Sri Yukteswar, Lahiri Mahasaya, and all that. We integrate spiritual principles into our daily lives. 50 years of living yoga, 8 communities, and over 164 teaching centers and meditation groups, Ananda provides places for learning, spiritual support, and fellowship. Yogananda ji called for World Brotherhood colonies to support people on the spiritual path from all walks of life. Swami Kriyananda said, if you want to know me, listen to my music. Those who are fortunate among us who know very well what Swamiji wrote, 400 pieces of music, he script, he gave the tune, he sang so beautifully. Ananda music began in 1964 when Swami Kriyananda was inspired to introduce a new kind of music to the world. Music that expresses spiritual aspiration and a desire for a more meaningful way of life. This music is, as its purpose suggests, quite simple yet beautiful. Ananda music has been performed in many countries and has inspired many thousands of people with a new and more uplifted view of life itself. In some ways, it transcends even the best classical music of our culture, for it offers transcendental meaning instead of only describing a graceful way of life. It is generally understood that music can have a powerful effect on mood and energy. It's less well known that positive and uplifting music can affect consciousness itself in positive and uplifting ways, about which you will hear from the masters little later. The essence of Ananda music is its ability to lift us out of our self-preoccupation and open us up for higher realities. For over 30 years, people around the world have experienced the power of this music to transform states of restlessness or depression into calmness, hope, and positive energy. Every day, challenges become opportunities. As consciousness grows, so must our systems. The education for life system is based on the current needs of children, both inside and outside the classrooms. Ananda receives Global Ambassador Peace Award from the Institute of International Social Development, an international non-governmental organization in special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council and the UN. There are very few leaders like Jyotish ji and Devi ji. We are honored, that is the citation, we are honored to give them the Global Ambassador Peace Award for the inspiring ways Ananda brings Paramahansa Yogananda's spiritual wisdom to life today, every day. Yogananda's mission, expressed Nayaswami Jyotish ji at that time, was to spread the teachings of meditation and Kriya Yoga as tools for the evolution of personal and planetary consciousness. He came to show how everyone can use meditation to enhance their daily life. Reading Yoganandaji's prayer for a united world at the United Nations today was a great honor, said Nayaswami Devi on that occasion. In response to the great uncertainty people are facing today, Ananda founded Be the Change. Already close to 2,300 people in 70 countries have pledged their meditation minutes to radiate a million hours of peace and harmony in the world. Be the Change gives people a positive action, meditation, to help them transcend fears and angers about the state of our world, explained Nayaswami Jyotish on that occasion. So we all need to take personal responsibility for the state of our world today. No use blaming all the time everybody else. Our challenges are precious spiritual opportunities, said Nayaswami Devi. I quote, meditation raises our consciousness. Only with an uplifted consciousness will we achieve sustainable living and harmony on our planet. Meditation is how we can be the change we wish to see the world. In direct service, Ananda brings dignity and divinity to more than 5,000 widows abandoned in the holy city of Vrindavan, India, giving them safe housing, food, clothing, medical care, and personal care for each woman, thanks to the generosity of one single rare person of a lot of riches, that is our P.I. Singh ji, who is here in our audience now. I think she needs a applause. All out of compassion, Yogananda Trust, they are doing gratitude of thousands of people. You must go and see how those people are living in happiness and joy. It is not enough to just provide basic needs, says Nayaswami Jyotish ji. People need someone who cares for them and loves them. Our service to the widows restores their dignity and divinity. It is being done so beautifully in Vrindavan. Ananda's service to Vrindavan widows operates through Paramasa Yogananda Public Charitable Trust. Several NGOs are now seeking to replicate Ananda's modest model. Ananda has applied for consulting NGO status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council. I think we should pursue it more vigorously now. Now, it's a spiritual movement. It has grown several thousands around the world now. Now, I don't want to cut, there's quite a lot to say, but because in constraint of time, I want to skip quite a lot of them. Now, each April, over 7,000 people visit Ananda village to experience the color and joy of 19,000 tulips in bloom. I had the good fortune of going there a couple of years, thanks to Swami Kaarthikeyanji's compassion. He was so kind, invited me there, he was with me, and he also staged that unique play. That is, yes, peace retreat, peace treaty. How the drama of the world leaders are going on, talking about peace, but nothing really happening and all that now. Yeah, that is where, how did you think of it about 50 years back, even today? That is true. How many conferences are taking place, even about environment? More they talk about peace, more violence is taking place. More they say we have to save humanity from self-destruction, we are doing destruction, unfortunately. So the way of Ananda Sanghis is, the way of Ananda Sanghis, by Nayaswamiji says, may the divine light awaken and purify my heart and bring enlightenment to all beings. So, ladies and gentlemen, only such committed people like you and worldwide can bring about a transformation. The transformation, the world peace, it has to start with inner peace. Swamiji has shown the technique, and which we have seen that thousands and thousands of people getting transformed now. Now, coming back only to briefly, there is much more to say, but the global audience, now please go into the website, learn more about this, get awakened, as Aditya was telling, and be ready to receive the blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, Paramahansa Yogananda ji, and also shown by Swami Kaarthikeyanji ji, and literally being carried around the world by these two great masters now with us. So Nayaswami Jyotish ji is the Dharmacharya of Ananda worldwide. appointed by Swami Kriyananda as his spiritual successor. Together with Nayaswami Jyotish ji and Nayaswami Devi ji, they are co-spiritual directors of Ananda worldwide. Became a student of Swami Kriyananda in 1967 in San Francisco, California. Soon he began assisting Ananda ji in a variety of ways, including teaching meditation classes in San Francisco. Working closely with Swami Kriyananda, Jyotish ji became one of the founding members of the Ananda village. It's a paradise on the planet. You must go and see. I have been to about 150 countries. We always say, I said, I have not seen a place like that. You must go to experience how the whole thing has been transformed. It is, you don't feel it's on the planet Earth now. Working closely with Swami Kriyananda, Jyotish ji became one of the founding members of Ananda village, which officially started on July 4, 1969, and for 10 years served as the community general manager. In Swami Kriyanandaji's last will, testament, and legacy provides that the 9-stone astrological bangle, which Swami Kriyananda has worn in his capacity, I think he will show it to us when he is talking, a spiritual director of Ananda, should be worn by any spiritual successor and his successors. Swamiji said that. So during a simple ceremony at Ananda village on May 19, 2013, Jyotish ji formally received the 9-stone astrological bangle reflective of his new position as Swami Kriyanandaji's spiritual successor. Nayaswami Devi ji is one of the founding members of Ananda, having lived at Ananda village and several of its branch communities since 1969. She has served in various functions of community life, including being a community correspondent and a teacher at Ananda's expanding light retreat. Together, both these great masters are the spiritual directors of Ananda worldwide, which includes directing the spiritual activities of Ananda and Ananda community throughout the world. Long-time devotees of Yogananda, Jyotish ji and Devi ji worked closely with Swami Kriyananda from 1969 until his attaining Samadhi on April 21, 2013 at the age of 86. But we all feel he is thus spiritually, soul-wise, he is with us and continuing to spread the message through these great masters. They have been personally trained by Swamiji to guide Ananda's work worldwide and have taught and lectured around the United States, Europe, Russia, India, all over the world. They travel and lecture extensively throughout the world on the topics of yoga, meditation, family spirituality, and living the spiritual life. Jyotish ji and Devi ji are both also Kriyacharyas, designated by Swamiji to initiate people into Kriya Yoga. They are both also the published authors. Jyotish ji is a well-known artist. The book they are going to release today, what is the title of the book?
The Touch of Peace.
Touch of Peace, yes, going to be there. I had a question to just glance through their, the articles from now, beautiful, with lot of photographs, and some of his beautiful paintings are also there now. I think, are they available today? Yes, any of them will talk about it when it will be formally released. Don't miss taking the copy home. Take more copies and distribute it to others also. It contains the essence of all that has been said by all the great masters. Now, I have not read them, but it's very powerful. It's a collector's item. I can say this. So, published authors. The author of a series of books called 30 Day Essentials. The number of things I can go on talking about them, but ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to monopolize the time. My time given to me was only a few minutes, but taken much longer, because there is so much to talk about this great organization. I had a chance meeting with Swami Kriyananda about 30 years back. Since then, the divine brought us close to him. I enjoyed his love, affection, and blessings. Spent long, had a blessing, good fortune of spending days and hours with him. He gave me so much of love and blessings, both here in India, in many places, in Ananda, in Nevada, and also in Assisi. Unforgettable moments and all that. We are fortunate. But I said that the Moksha Mandir dedication is a beautiful place again. I said, when great masters leave their physical bodies. Everybody born has to leave the body at some stage. It happened throughout history. But what happened? They get released from the confines of the physical body. Their spirit, soul pervades all over the universe, spreading the message. They become much more powerful and influential. That's happening now in the world. With these words, I take this opportunity to greet all of you. You are fortunate to be on the path. Don't give it up. Spread it to the families. Spread it as many as possible, because it is not enough if we are happy. The families have to be happy. And when families are happy, the society becomes happy. And then only the nations can be happy. Then only you can create a world of peace, harmony, and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaarthikeyanji. Kaarthikeyanji, your words are like nectar. We could keep listening, keep listening. I would like to now invite you to please add your light to the masters, and we'll go into the lighting of the lamp ceremony. I invite Kaarthikeyanji to please initiate the ceremony. Let's all stand up and join, friends. I would like to invite Jayaji and Dhyanaji, spiritual directors of Ananda Sangha India, to please come and light the lamp. And I'd like to invite Nayaswami Devarshi, who heads our men's monastery in Chandigarh, to please come and light the lamp. Please be seated. Just one or two announcements before we begin formally with our choir singing. If you're seeing a seat, now don't take the seat of the choir members, but before they rose, if there was already a seat vacant, I would urge you to please move into that so new members can come in from the corridors. And secondly, let's take a moment to pull out our mobile phones and ensure that they are turned off or in silent mode. I would like to now invite our choir to please come and sing two songs by Swami Kriyananda ji. Our choir members and many Ananda Sangha members have come from Panchkula, Chandigarh, Gurgaon, Delhi, Noida, Jaipur, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai, Jabalpur, Bangalore, and Coimbatore, and many other cities. I welcome you all for this Pan-India choir. Over to you, Bharatiyal.
First one is called Dare to Be Different.
Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea, fly like a gull, soar high on the air. be never abased. Freedom is yours if freedom you give. To all give it freely, in freedom you live. Mountains that stand up tall to the sky tell us no dreaming is ever too high. Dare to climb boldly, brave that high peak. You'll never know failure if bravely you seek. Dare to be different, dare to be free. Dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air. Be strong in your courage when others despair. Be strong in your courage when others despair.
This one is called I Live Without Fear.
Summer fade and winter draw near. My Lord, in your presence I live without fear. Through tempests, through snows, through turbulent tide, the touch of your hand is my strength and my guide. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. The dancers will pass, the singing must end. I welcome the darkness with you for my friend.
Thank you, choir. I would like to now invite Jyotish and Devi ji to please share the inspiration with us all.
Well, first, let me, on behalf of all of us, all of Ananda, welcome you. It's wonderful personally for Devi and me to see so many dear friends from around the world. This is our first time that we've been able to visit India since the beginning of the pandemic, and it's a true joy to be able to be together with you all again. So thank you, and thank you all to those who are watching online. And I think because of Sri Kaarthikeyanji, I have to prove my credentials here, that I'm not a fraud. Okay. So we have a very nice topic today, which is stand unshaken, how to deal with courage, deal with change with courage and good consciousness. First of all, let's begin by accepting that there is no possibility that we're going to avoid change, nor will we avoid problems and ills. That's just the nature of this world. It's the nature of the way God created this world. And so it would be a false expectation. And one of the problems in this world is this false expectation that everything should go just the way I want it to go. Everything should be just the way I want. And if it doesn't go that way, something's wrong with the world. Nothing's wrong with me, of course. Something's wrong with the world. And so that false expectation will get us into trouble again and again and again. Swami Kriyananda used to tell an amusing story about a man who had a demon visit him. And in order to ward off the demon, he had some mustard seeds, and he chanted a mantra and threw the seeds on the demon and expected the demon to just vanish. And the demon just laughed at him. And he said, before you could chant your mantra, I myself got into those mustard seeds. And so they had no effect on me. And so it is. Before we can do anything about it, the problems get into whatever life we're leading, except there is one thing that we can do that is a universal cure. Now, a good magician keeps his secret for the last, but I'm going to break that rule because this is the universal secret to all the troubles that might visit you. If not mustard powder, but if you can infuse God into your consciousness before that trouble has a chance to get a hold of you, and throw God in some form, throw light in some form on that darkness, it won't have the power to really affect you. But how do we do that? That's, it's one thing to talk about that. It's another to actually be able to accomplish it. The main thing that we must learn to do is that we must learn to expand our heart, because fear, anxiety, problems, they live in the heart. They're of the emotions. And the reason that they visit us is because we have a contractive consciousness. Somewhere, somehow, we're thinking of ourselves, we're thinking of self-protective modes of living, we're thinking, what can I do to ward off everything? I don't want it to affect me. As long as we're thinking of ourselves, our consciousness and our heart are going to be contractive. I read of a wonderful dream, a young boy, wonderful story about a dream, a series of nightmares a young boy had. Night after night, he woke up screaming in terror because he dreamt that a man, big man with a knife, was coming in and came to his bed and stabbed him in the heart. Probably some memory from a past life, but whatever it was, this young boy was troubled by that nightmare that occurred night after night. And finally, the parents, not knowing what to do, they called their family guru, and the family guru blessed him and said, you must expand the next time this demon, this danger visits you in the night. And so the next night, sure enough, the man with the knife came, and he was coming toward the bed. But this time, the boy saw himself grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until the man who had been so threatening was the size of a mouse. And he just laughed at him and kicked him away. And that dream never never ever troubled him again. You see, when we can expand our consciousness, when we can expand our hearts to be bigger than whatever is threatening us, then what's threatening us doesn't have any real power over us. But that has to be put into practice. Of course, all of us, every one of us, was threatened in the last 3 years by the COVID. We heard some extreme tales of people who suffered, and I don't want to diminish the suffering during that time. People suffered deaths of relatives. They suffered the difficulties of having a sick relative and not being able to find any facilities, and seeing that sometimes a father or an uncle pass away because of that. It was a very, very difficult time. But we also saw beautiful examples of light shining in that darkness. There was we had a satsang with our group in Delhi, and we were talking with some people from West Delhi. And one of them said that we were so busy helping others during that time that we never had time to think about ourselves. And because of that, that time turned into a great blessing for us. We had an example of one young man who had a teenage son, and that son had been battling cancer for quite some time. And toward the beginning of the time of COVID, not related, but the young boy passed away from the cancer that he had. And then 2 weeks later, this man's father died of COVID. Now that can hardly be worse circumstances coming to you. You know what his response was? He called our center leader, Nayaswami Dhyana, and he said, "Find me some way to serve. Find me some way to help." At that time, they had a 24-hour hotline so that people who were undergoing difficulty had some place to turn, some means of support. And he manned that hotline and talked to people who called day after day after day. You see, when we expand our consciousness, when we expand our heart, especially by thinking of others, then the challenges that we have, the fears that we have, the change that comes upon us does not have the power to hurt us. Expanding our heart, that's the way we throw God onto our problems. Think of God as the ultimate expansion. Anything that you can do to expand your mind or expand your heart is bringing God into the situation. You throw God on a situation and darkness turns to light. That's the power of it. And so that's the major thing, especially because difficult times attack us emotionally. The most important thing is to expand the love of our heart and the concern for others. We have a dear friend who's passed away now, but Devi Mukherjee, and he from a young boy, he wanted to have his life shaped by saints. And so he traveled from one saint to another, and sometimes into very remote areas. There was one saint that he heard about, and he had to travel for several days. Finally, he found this saint in a little shack, little hut, in the middle of a forest. A saint knew he was coming, welcomed him in, and they were together for some days. But one night the saint said, don't, under any circumstances whatsoever, don't come out tonight. And Devi Mukherjee, being the kind of person he was very curious. And so that night, he opened the shutters and he looked out in the little clearing, and there were 3 or 4 tigers around this saint. And they were just like little pussycats. One of them brought some animal, a rabbit or a small deer or something, and put it as an offering at the saint's feet. And he rapped him on the head and he said, "I told you not to bring me things like that." Tiger looked down, kind of embarrassed. But in the morning, Debbie Mukherjee said, "Can I come? Are they going to come again? Can I come out?" And the saint said, "No, you can't." He said, in order to be in this way, your love has to be 100%. Yours isn't expanded far enough yet. Keep working on it. But see, no matter what the dangers are, they tame down when our love is big enough to encompass them. And so that's the very first thing that we have to do. How do we expand our love? The best way is to serve others, to be kind to others. Every day, to this very day, you're going to find somebody who is in need of your love. Give it to them. If you do that, your heart will begin to expand and expand and expand. There's an absolute secret that whatever is troubling you, if you will put out the opposite positive quality to that, then that trouble will disappear. So if you're feeling lonely, give some help, give some love, give some friendship to another person. We heard Mother Teresa tell of a time she was in the U.S. at that time. She was traveling in Chicago, and it was toward winter. It was a cold day. She saw this old man sitting slumped down on a park bench, and she said, "Stop the car." And she went and she sat down next to him and took his hand. And he started crying. He said, "It's been so long since I felt the warmth of a human hand." Now, you probably today won't see somebody in quite that shape, but you will see somebody that needs your warmth. You will see somebody that needs your support, your kind words. And give it to them. Swami Kriyananda was such an example of this. One time we were with him walking down a street, and there was an old lady who was just kind of slumped over, carrying a couple of bags of groceries, but you could see that she was collapsed in on herself. And as we approached, Swami Kriyananda said, "Oh, what a beautiful scarf you're wearing." I don't know that it was particularly beautiful, but Swami, what a beautiful scarf you're wearing. You know, it's a blessing to people who are approaching you when you wear something like that. And the lady just began to perk up and began. Yogananda said, "Shoot people with the buckshot of your smiles." Isn't that a nice image? Shoot people with the buckshot of your smiles. Give light out, give happiness out, give love, give kindness, give support. If you can only do that, your troubles are going to shrink like that little boy's dream. They're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the more you expand your heart, the smaller your difficulties will become. The less you think of yourself, the less your mind will even begin to think of something coming as a difficulty. Yogananda said there are no problems. There are only opportunities. So when you're contracted, everything seems threatening. When you're expanded, everything seems to be an opportunity. Swami Kriyananda, our lifelong teacher, as Sri Kaarthikeyanji said, he was, in a sense, looking forward to difficult times. Not because he wanted the difficulty, but he knew that the world, according to the consciousness that you have, you draw to yourself the vibration and the reality of that consciousness. He knew that mankind's Consciousness was too much in conflict, too much in anger, too much in battling with each other. And he knew that they were going to draw difficulties, and he was waiting for that time so that he could be of help. Yogananda said at the time of the 1919, they called it the Spanish flu, Yogananda was alive in India at that time. And later on, he said, and millions of people died. More people died during that time because of the pandemic than died during the First World War in battle. But he said that that pandemic was drawn by the anger and violence and fear of everybody in the world during that war. All of that negative thought went out and drew the pandemic. Well, the negativity of mankind has drawn this latest pandemic. How do we fight that? We must become the channels of change. We must become the positive influences that we want to see in the world. If we don't, who else will? Are we going to depend on the politicians to be not seeking power? Gandhi had a beautiful quote, "When the power of love becomes stronger than the love of power, the world will see peace." So let the power of love grow in your heart. Leave it to the politicians to have the love of power. But change won't come by anything outward. Change will come by our consciousness changing, our minds changing, our hearts changing and expanding. Yogananda also said that we have to have a positive mind. So a positive mind is brought about by positive thinking. Sri Kaarthikeyanji talked about the power of music. Listen to uplifting music. Listen to uplifting anything. And avoid, like poison, because it is poison, avoid the media that is meant to awaken negative emotions in you. That is just like drinking in poison. Imagine, last night we had a wonderful opportunity to go to the museum of J.K. Lakshman. R.K. Lakshman, excuse me. And the man who did the cartoons of the common man. It was just for 70 years he did those. It was absolutely wonderful. But imagine the common man going to a doctor and saying, "I've been depressed and upset and downcast lately." And the doctor said, "Well, tell me, have you had some trauma? Have you had some difficulty in your life?" "No, nothing like that. I get up, I eat a good breakfast, and then I doom scroll for 9 hours a day. And I don't know why I could be depressed." Well, if you're wanting to feed poison into your mind and then wonder why you're troubled about change coming, then of course there's no cure for that. Just stop it. It's just as simple as that. Stop it. And you'll find automatically you'll become happier. Surround yourself with beautiful music, especially as you heard the music of Swami Kriyananda and other great masters, things that uplift the consciousness. Surround yourself with good thoughts, with good people, those people who are positive. Yogananda also said, do affirmations. He said, had a beautiful affirmation that is so pertinent to the changes that come. He said, "I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it." I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. When you start worrying next time or being anxious or being upset that the world hasn't given you what you need, start repeating that affirmation. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. Because even those difficulties are part of what God is sending to you, not out of anger, not out of punishment, but out of love for you, in order to help you make the internal changes that you need. And then finally, the most important thing I would say is to learn to expand your consciousness through meditation. Meditation is the best tool. These great, great masters throughout history have incarnated and urged us to learn and practice meditation. Because it's through meditation when the mind begins to become calm, then the heart begins to relax. And as that happens, then we can begin to see within us those qualities of God that are already residing there. And when we can feel even a little bit, as Krishna said in the Gita, even a little practice of this inward religion will free you from dire fears and colossal sufferings. Even a little practice of meditation will free you from dire fears and colossal sufferings, from the very difficulties that you have in your life right now. So, as I said at the beginning, and we'll end also with this thought, the way out of any problem, understand that the problem is coming because your consciousness is contracted or is contracting. The way out is by expanding. Expand your heart through service, through kindness, through support, through love. Expand your mind with positive thinking, with affirmations, with good company, uplifting music, and expand your soul by the practice of meditation. God bless you.
Thank you, Aditya. Good morning, friends. I'll also share some thoughts with you all this morning. First of all, I want to welcome all of you who are coming to an Ananda event for the first time. Would you raise your hand if this is your first time coming? Very nice, very nice. I'm so glad. I hope this gives you some useful perspectives and tools to work with. And then I also want to thank the people from the Pune Sangha who have worked so hard for many weeks to create this event. And I know stayed up many, many nights, maybe without even any sleep, just to share Yogananda's teachings and blessings with all of us. So, as you have heard, our topic this morning is Stand Unshaken, How to Face Life Changes with Courage. And I'd like to take a slightly different approach. I would like to say how to face life's changes with wisdom. Because courage comes when we understand how to overcome the problems before us. And philosophers and religious leaders, great saints down through the ages, have told us repeatedly that this world is not a place of stability or permanence. The great Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "All is flux," meaning that this world is constantly changing and being transformed. And he said the only way to find happiness is to, to accept this and to try to not cling to things as permanent. He lived and wrote about 500 BCE. His contemporary, surprisingly, was Lord Buddha, lived at the same time across the globe. And what did Buddha tell us? He said, this world is impermanent, and all of man's sufferings come about because we try to find permanence in an impermanent world. He said the only way out is inner detachment. And then in the magnificent, perhaps the greatest spiritual writing of all times, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, we have come into this world false and fleeting. This world is not what it seems. It seems to be real, it seems to be predictable and permanent, but it is not. Swami Kriyananda once said, the only thing in which Maya keeps his promise is that it breaks all its promises. And so this world is false and fleeting. And if we expect it to be true and permanent, we suffer. And then again in the Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, what are the signs of a person of wisdom? And Krishna's answer is so beautiful. He said, even to he who understands and appreciates that even with the inconsistencies of this world, he is not elated by good things or depressed by evil, but he always finds a center of peace within himself. This is the mark of a person of wisdom. And so we come to see, and we've seen it in our own lives, that changes come, and some are good, aren't they? When the good changes come, we think, oh, I'm enjoying life. This is very nice. But when the bad changes come, we think, oh, this is terrible. Why is this happening? And so what Krishna is telling us is the person who remains in equanimity when good things happen, isn't elated, when evil happens, is not depressed, but finds that point of inner detachment that is able to weather life's storms. You know, some of you know this, but in 1975, Jyotish and I will be living, we've come to India often and yearly pre-pandemic, but we live most of the time at, or half the time I should say, at Ananda World Brotherhood community in California. And in 1976, California, if you follow American news, is prone to forest fires. And in 1976, our community was struck by a forest fire and burned to the ground. We lost everything that we'd been building for 8 years, including our home and everything we owned. And at that time, we had a newborn child, 11 days old. We had nothing. And a wonderful thing happened, though, and I have to say it was one of the greatest gifts in my life, because at first I was kind of stunned, but then I thought, you can't think about yourself. There's a new child here. You have to think about how to care for this child. And I began to realize I had no bed for him. I had no blanket. I had no clothes. I had no food, no roof, anything. And I thought, where does the sense of security come from? And nurturing. It comes from within. If we have to live under a tree, I will make a home for this child because I know that it resides within me. And that understanding has given me the power to live the rest of my life with a sense of freedom and not attachment, because I knew I didn't really need anything in order to be happy, and so it proved. But in Autobiography of a Yogi, the great, great spiritual classic by our Guruji, Paramahansa Yogananda, he also gives us practical examples. If you haven't read this book, it will be available for you to take, but it is the most magnificent combination of the most profound spiritual teachings combined with practical ways to implement them in your life, as well as delightful humor. There's an underlying joy in all of Master's stories. And sometimes I think we should I've read the book many times, and it's curious. Every time I read it, I think, oh, this must be a new edition. I didn't read this the last time, but I just couldn't absorb it. And I'm sure if I read it every day for the rest of my life, I'll find things that I didn't see were there. But he gives us many, many practical examples of how to deal with good changes and difficulties. A good change, he gives an example. This is the very first chapter of the book, where his father was an executive in the Bengal-Nagpur Railway. And he worked very diligently. He was a saintly man. And at a certain point, an accountant came to look at the books, the financial records of this railway, and he discovered that Yogananda's father had never applied for overtime bonuses. And he presented him with the check and this was probably 1910, around in there, $41,000, a fortune. And Yogananda's father, Bhagavati Ghosh, didn't say anything to his family. He just wasn't reacting to it. And finally, one of his sons looked in the checkbook and said, "Papa, what is this? What is this?" And he said, "Why make a big deal about it?" He said, if you want to practice even-mindedness, which again is one of the main themes of the Gita, even-mindedness, you shouldn't be elated when good things happen or depressed when bad things happen. We come into this world penniless and we leave it penniless. And how much between the coming and the going, how much of our time is concerned about collecting the pennies, making sure there is enough. But if we just say, God will take care of us. And after that fire, when we lost everything, God took care of us. And before too long, we had more than we needed. So that was a practical story of how you deal with positive changes. But I want to read to you a passage, because I cannot say it as well as Master wrote it, Yoganandaji wrote it. He talks about a time, 1918 in India, where he was watching a newsreel about the carnage in France during the First World War. I will read this to you and really the miracle that happened from that experience. And as I read it, think not France, 1918, think Ukraine, 2023, and hear what God is saying to us. Spectacles. One day I entered, Master is saying this, Yoganandaji is saying this. One day I entered a motion picture house to view a newsreel of the European battlefields. World War I was being waged in the West. The newsreel recorded the carnage with such realism that I left the theater with a troubled heart. Lord, I prayed, why dost thou permit such suffering? I don't know about you, but I've asked myself that question frequently at this time. To my intense surprise, Yogananda goes on to say, an instant answer came in the form of a vision of the actual European battlefields. The horror of the struggle, filled with the dead and dying, far surpassed in ferocity any representations of the newsreel. Look intently, a gentle voice spoke in my inner consciousness. You will see that these scenes now being enacted in France or Ukraine are nothing but a play of chiaroscuro, light and dark. They are the cosmic motion picture, as real and as unreal as the theater newsreel you have just seen, a play within a play. My heart was still not comforted. And this is the important passage. The divine voice went on to say, creation is light and shadow both, else no picture is possible. The good and evil of Maya must ever alternate in supremacy. If joy were ceaseless here in this world, would man ever seek another? Without suffering, he scarcely cares to recall that he has forsaken his eternal home. Pain is a prod to remembrance. The way of escape is through wisdom. The tragedy of death is unreal. Those who shudder at it are like an ignorant actor who dies of fright on the stage when nothing more is fired at him than a blank cartridge. My sons and daughters are the children of light. They will not sleep forever in delusion. And this is the voice of God saying to us, we are children of the light. We will not sleep forever in delusion. And whatever suffering is going around us in the world, if we can bring that light in, then it helps everyone. Now, Jyotish gave some things to do, practical, that you and I can do. I'll also share a few more. One, when difficult changes happen, when suffering happens in your life, don't ask, why me? Why is this happening to me? Remember what God said? The difficulties come to prod us to seek higher realities. The question you should ask, we should all ask when suffering comes, is what am I supposed to learn from this? What was I supposed to learn from the fire? What are we all supposed to learn when loved ones pass? And if we can ask that question, why did I draw this suffering? And what in myself can I change? Not change the world, but change me. That was another one of the great prayers of Yogananda. Lord, change no circumstance in my life, change me. And so when suffering comes, ask the question, why? And what can I do about it? Not self-pity, not saying, oh, this isn't fair. Karma is fair. It may not be pretty, but it's fair. It works like spiritual mathematics. Whatever you have put out, it will come back to you until you learn the lessons you need to learn. So number one, when suffering comes, ask, what am I supposed to learn from it? And if it's one time we did an exercise with some people in a workshop where we asked them first, what is a repeated pattern of problems that come to you? List one. And then we said, okay, write some solutions. What can I do about it? And then we had them meditate for 5 minutes. We said, now write solutions. They had totally different solutions because they went on an interior level and they said, these I have not yet tried. And I think they left them, but I hope they were able to make changes. So look, when difficult changes come, what can you do about it? The second, as Jyotish was saying, service to others. The more you can forget yourself in your suffering, and Swami Kriyananda was an amazing example of this. He had tremendous physical difficulties, karma. One time, and he was a humble man. But one time someone asked him, Swamiji, are you taking on the karma of others? And he was very quiet. And then he said, we all have to do our part. And one time when he was in the hospital, he had had open heart surgery, and we were with him. And his room was filled with flowers from people sending them forever. You could hardly get to his bed. There were so much flowers. And then he paused and he said, you know, in this hospital, there are people probably who don't have friends or family to send them flowers or to visit them. And there were about 3 or 4 of us there. He said, I want you all to take a bouquet of flowers and go to a room where someone is alone. Don't just, and bring the flowers, but don't stop there. I want you to sit and talk with that person, give them energy, give them love. We did it all day long. And at the end of, I get shivers just talking about it. At the end of the day, the hospital administrator came to Swamiji and he said, you and your people have changed this hospital. He wasn't thinking, oh, poor me, I just had open heart surgery and this and that. He was thinking of other people. And that's what helped him to keep going and to keep going. So service to others. Then, as we've been talking, meditation. Why is meditation important? Jyotish gave some reasons. But also, when you meditate, and I must say, we teach part-time in the West, part-time in India, soon to be half and half, which we're delighted. The Indian consciousness has so much more receptivity to meditation. It's just in your DNA. You don't have to sell it. It's instinctive. In the West, it's a harder sell because they're not as interiorized and frankly not as subtle. And so learn to meditate if you don't. It helps you find that center. Remember Heraclitus, Buddha, and Krishna and the Gita, they all talked about non-attachment. You experience that in meditation. You transcend the ego. It isn't just about what do I want in life. You feel yourself a part of something so much bigger. And when bad things happen, gives you a perspective. This is a moment in time. Why get upset about it? One day it's bad, the next day it's good. Remember that. Meditation is the most important thing you can do for yourself and for others. There's a friend of ours who's sitting here. We were having a little satsang yesterday, and she said, she's just started coming to Ananda and learning the teachings. And she said at first her husband and her children said, oh, why are you going to that place? But now when she starts to leave and they said, where are you going? And she said, I'm going to an Ananda class. Oh, good. Do you need a ride? Because they can see the changes in her. The peace, the harmony, the ability to stay even-minded. And then finally, the last thing is just to be able to, under all circumstances, love God, build devotion and faith in God. His plan for each of us is rooted in love. And even though it might not seem like it at times, it is true. There's a beautiful story from a Muslim woman saint, Rabia. And it was at the end of her life, and she was dying of a very painful disease. And one of her followers said, oh, Mother, he is no true lover of God who isn't willing to suffer with what is given to him. And even though she was on her deathbed, she was still teaching them. And she said, no, that smacks of ego. And then the next disciple came and said, Mother, he is no true lover of God who isn't happy to suffer with what God brings. And she said, no, that's more is needed. And finally they said, Mother, you tell us. And she said, he is no true lover of God who doesn't forget their suffering in contemplation of the beloved. And so if we develop that devotion and faith in God, that his whole drama, your life, my life, the script is written with love, unconditional, unlimited love for each one of us. And if anything that comes, if you can just say, God, I love you, I trust you. It's like what Jyotish was saying, we just throw light on whatever problem. And I'll just close. I want to read you a letter from our guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, to one of his very advanced women disciples, Kamala Silva. I just copied this out, but the original of this letter we have at a very special museum at Ananda World Brotherhood Colony, where we have relics and treasures from all of our line of gurus that have been given to us by devotees in India. So this is a letter that Master wrote, and it must have been about before 1920, because he still signed it Swami Yogananda after, in the 20s or 30s. After 1935, he was given by his guru the name Paramahansa. So Master writes to his disciple, "No matter what dark territories you have to pass through, look steadily at the pole star of his presence. He knows you are trying to reach him. Only keep trying. Once you convince him, you will be there. The way is long. Let's hurry to his place." With unceasing blessings, Swami Yogananda. So the way is long, but let's hurry to his place. And no matter how long it is, if we are not attached and can transcend the changes in this world, the way goes much more quickly. So God bless you all.
Thank you, Devi ji. Thank you, Jyotish ji, for those inspiring words. Hello. Yes. I invite us all now to please join in the release of the book Touch of Peace. And if people are waiting outside, I invite you all to please also come in at this hour. So I invite Jyotish and Devi ji to please release the first copy of Touch of Peace. This is a collection of their blogs, which Jyotish and Devi ji write every week. And I would like to invite now Nayaswami Jaya ji to receive a copy of the Touch of Peace from Jyotish and Devi ji. I would like to invite Dhyana ji to please come and also receive a copy. Shri Kaarthikeyanji, please join us. And Priya Singh. Priya is the founder and the trustee of the work Paramhans Yogananda Public Charitable Trust in Brindavan that Kaarthikeyanji was talking about. It oversees the welfare of 5,000 widow mothers on a daily basis. And now I invite Jyotish and Devi ji to please unveil the art while we all stay on stage. Let us all stand up to welcome and inaugurate the art exhibition. This is meditation born art that Nayaswami Jyotish ji has offered as a gift to us all, to the world. And I would now like Shri Kaarthikeyanji to receive a copy of The Light of Love, which is the name of this beautiful painting we are all seeing at the hands of Devi ji and Jyotish ji. Thank you so much, Jyotish ji, for your gift of your art. And please be seated, friends. Jyotish ji was mentioning about expanding our heart, surrounding ourselves with uplifted books, music, friends. You could add art to that. Swami Kriyananda ji used to say when he would see some piece of art, he would say, now would you invite the artist to your house? He would say, ask that question. If you're listening to some music, if you're reading a book, he would say, would you like that artist, that author to be with you in your house all the time. And of course, in this case, we would love to have Jyotish, Devi ji with their books, Swamiji's master's books. So friends, as we step out now in a few minutes, we will have, as you may have seen, the art exhibition is in full display across the venue. It is also upstairs. There are parallel classes that will be happening in an hour from now, both over here and upstairs. The books are for sale. Swami Kiranandaji's 450 pieces of music and thousands of talks are all available in different stalls. So as you go, please take the time to interact with people who are manning those stalls and get more inspiration. I once again want to thank Piyaji, Kaarthikeyanji, everyone please who has traveled here to support us, Jyotish and Devi ji, for your inspiring words. You make something doing so simple, expand the heart, increase your energy, meditate every day, support one another. I thank you for encouraging us all again and again, and for these beautiful words of inspiration, which we all need now that we're coming out of the pandemic, how to strengthen our lives and how to bring more light into the lives of one another. Thank you, friends. Let's come back over here in 5 to 7 minutes. I would like to invite Nayaswami Bhavani now to share with us the flow in the coming class.
Yes. Thank you, Nayaswami Adityaji. So dear friends, we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Remember, we have the whole day. There are stalls, beautiful art pieces you will want to take home, and stalls that showcase the spectrum of the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda that can be applied in our daily life, whether it is education, business, relationships. So please take a moment to visit the stalls and see for yourself what these teachings may have to offer you for living a life of higher consciousness. The next keynote talk will be by Ananda India spiritual directors Nayaswami Jaya and Nayaswami Dhyanaji. So there's a lot of very good inspiration waiting for all of us. So do come back quickly. See you soon.